We publish this 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do because so many people don't know. And I would really like you to know how we could maybe benefit you. So first of all, we are basically everything at Lewis and Clark that is not a 2-year academic program. So for example, we do a big College for Kids program in the summer, all kinds of educational and fun programs that we do in conjunction with all kinds of valued partners like the St. Louis Science Center, the Army Corps of Engineers. We do engineering camps for kids. They test water samples. We have a robotics class where they have to drag and drop icons that represent spinning around or bells and whistles or shooting a missile. So they put together their robot. They're using programming logic in a fun way to figure out what the robot's supposed to do. And then we got a big space on the floor in the classroom, and if the robot doesn't perform like it's supposed to and knock out the other robot, they go back to the drawing board on the computer, and they're dragging and dropping new icons. And their instructor from the St. Louis Science Center is helping them understand what programming logic is and pre-think, 8 to 10-year-olds pre-think what they would like their robot to do. So all kinds of programs that we offer in the summer for College for Kids, but we also continue to offer everything for tots all the way to seniors. We have baby swim, we have senior arthritic swim at Hathaway Hall, a beautiful pool. We also do ice rescue and water rescue classes for the fire departments, and so we've done a lot of the water rescue programs in the same Hathaway pool. We do food sanitation because in the state of Illinois, if you have a banqueting center like this, or if you run a restaurant or catering service, you have to be relicensed every 5 years. So basically, if it's not a 2-year academic program, it's probably us. So that's just kind of a big, broad look. Some of the individual programs I'd like to mention to you, especially from a business perspective. Anybody in here represent a company that is a contractor that ever does work at the Wood River refineries, at Marathon, Valero, Shell Lubricants, any of those? Okay, well this is a shout out to Dave in a way. We have a Bethalto education facility. We lease it from the airport authority. It's at the airport. And that's where we do all of our contractor safety orientations. So you could be the best hydroblaster, pipe fitter, plumber, electrician, whatever in the world. But if you've gotten contracted to go into Phillips 66 or any of those kinds of facilities, Olin Brass, Winchester, we also do, you don't know what site-specific hazard could maim you or kill you before the end of the day. So people come to our Bethalto facility and they get trained on basic OSHA topics, and then they also do a site-specific, depending on where they're going to have to go and work, and they get a badge and that gets them through the gate. If they don't have the badge, they don't get in because we take safety of all of our customers and our clients very seriously. How many of you have ever gone up and down 255 and looked over at the refineries and you've seen lots of white billowing steam? Everybody know what I'm talking about? Okay, how many of you have ever seen big, roiling, black, smoky-looking clouds? Ever see that?
Out there.
Okay, you know what it is? Anybody know what that is?
Probably when they're burning off, that something's lost power.
Something went wrong.
Typically, it's training that we're doing.
Oh.
Rick Hasse, Chief Rick Hasse at Phillips 66, our fire crew instructors, in conjunction with him, we've developed a program, a lot of different classes for fire safety over the years, and that is a fascinating site. It's closest to the highway on that property, and they've got a big tank car, they've got a big tank, they've got some scaffolding. It's all hooked up to propane lines. They open up the valves, all of that starts burning. That's when you see the big black roiling smoke. We've got a training class going. Our department uses as adjunct instructors some of the top fire chiefs and fire crew battalion chiefs and so on who have day jobs at the different fire departments, but they also train with us for those kinds of situations. And so, for example, all of their P-Tech operators down at the refinery, in case anything would blow up or catch fire, we even simulate, somebody has fallen off the scaffolding, they've had a heart attack, and there's fire underneath of them. How do you rescue that person? So those are some fascinating programs. So now the next time you go up and down 255, and you see that black billowing smoke, we've got a training class going on. So some of it is really fascinating. I got to see that myself just for the first time earlier this month. I had to be in full flame retardant clothing, the helmet, the boots, the shields, everything. I wasn't trying to fight the fire. I was standing several hundred feet back, but when they flamed those propane lines to simulate a serious fire, whoa! I mean, you feel the heat. You wonder how close you could get into your hot dog. They also have a big kind of squared off area with a kind of cement bumper. Kind of looks like you could flood it in the winter and it'd be an ice skating rink, but they flood it with all kinds of fuel and asphalt and simulate a hazmat spill. And there's a completely different way to put out that kind of a fire compared to the other ones I was just describing. So the technique so that the workers are safe and can put out those kinds of fires as soon as possible is very important. So that's just another one that we've done. In our catalog, even though, for example, this one is heavily oriented towards college for kids in the summertime, we always offer all kinds of adult programming through the year. So fun and leisure, I was mentioning to Rick that one of the programs we've had going for a while in conjunction with Crushed Grapes in Edwardsville, it's for people who are into the wine craze, and it's kind of wine tasting along with where does this varietal come from and what's the history of that country and what are some of the cultural things that go on there. So we try to make fun, interesting learning programs happen all the time. Our dance programs are very popular. Recently, one of your big neighbors here in East Alton is Global Brass. We've done all kinds of things for Global Brass over the years, and these are things that would not necessarily show up in our catalog. Our catalog are open enrollment programs, so anybody can see when they're scheduled and call us and go ahead and register for them. With some of our corporate partners like Global Brass, we did some welding assessments and training for them specifically at GRP Mechanical, also over by the airport last year. Right now we're doing emotional intelligence for their supervisors and their managers about how you recognize your own emotions and then recognize the emotions of people around you and use that information in a meaningful way to direct behavior. Especially for supervisors and managers, you know, the job that you start when you're young in your career that you love to do, that you were passionate about, if you go up the ranks, you go up the corporate ladder, you're often no longer doing that job at all. You're so far removed from it. And so there has to be intentional communication in order to make it clear what you need to have done and inspire the troops and get things accomplished. So emotional intelligence, communications classes, we teach all of those, and we'll do those for any business. If you have such a need, please give us a call, because we can bring that to your site, or you can bring your people to our site if you need to get them away from the office so the cell phones aren't ringing and the phones aren't going off. We're very happy to arrange any of those kinds of programs. On the back of the catalog this time, something I wanted to show you that we're really proud of. Does anybody know Matt Stemick, who's the principal at Eastwood Elementary here in East Alton?
Yep.
Is he here today?
STEMAC.
Okay, STEMAC. I didn't get to talk to him, unfortunately. My assistant director, Katie Haas, she basically runs the College for Kids program herself all the time. And what this represents is a success story in the face of adversity. How many people are aware that the state of Illinois is kind of over budgeted? Okay, unfortunately, both the state and the local level, there are a lot of deficits right now for education, for our children, for the future. One of the hits was the East Alton School District looking around, making those tough choices. What do we still offer and what do we have to cut back on? So one of the things that took a hit for them was the gifted program. So looking around to see, well, what could be done though, what we've literally taken into the East Alton School District are some of our College for Kids programs that normally just run in the summertime when parents are looking for what can I do with my kid all summer and still keep them kind of educated and not bored. We've literally taken some of these that have, especially the math, the science, and the reading bent, and taken these into the school district during the school year. So it's an after-school enrichment program. I'm not going to claim that it takes the place of a true gifted program. But in these times of really tightened belts from a budgetary perspective, it's a stopgap measure that we're very proud of and very happy about. We get a lot of positive comments back from people. Talking about budgets, our department, a lot of people do not realize, is completely self-funded. Let me repeat that. Every program you see in here, most of them, not all, most of them do have a price tag. And it's because the state of Illinois mandates that our departments at community colleges be on a self-recovery program and not impact the taxpayer. So one of the things that happened was we did used to get a small workforce grant. Each of the community colleges in Illinois used to get a small workforce grant to help support business and industries like yours with some kinds of professional training. That was completely eliminated last year. And so we have had to raise our prices minimally, but we're very proud of what we're still able to offer. We're still alive, we're still here, we're still kicking. And I wanted to point that out because if some of you are from other places in the state, you mentioned visiting Rotarians, there are a couple of community colleges that had to completely fold up their business and industry units in the last year due to that cut. And so we're very happy to still be here and still be offering you whatever kinds of services we can. Another thing I wanted to mention, with our College for Kids, we do get scholarship money. Some businesses, I mean, we've got several law firms that have written checks for around $100 or $200. We've got a couple of big corporations in the area that have given us several $1,000s. And for the College for Kids program in the summer, the way that we try to be good stewards of those funds is that we don't make the decision about which disadvantaged kids come to the College for Kids programs. What we do is we work in conjunction with organizations like the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, 100 Black Men of Alton, United Way, several different other organizations, and we say we have these many seats in these classes. Do you know kids who would really benefit from attending that wouldn't get to come otherwise? And so that's another thing that we do, and just wanted to make you all aware of that because it's something we're very proud of with these corporate and business partners, to be able to bring in some kids to the College for Kids program that otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to be there. I've covered a big range of information real quickly. Before I go on, are any general questions or something you're curious about, or something I said that confused you?
You get involved in vocational training?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for example, here's a very recent example, very good one. Some of you may know that years ago, Lewis and Clark used to have a welding program, vocational training. Then it got closed down. It was like nobody needed welders. The people say some of this area was put Rust Belt, the recession hit, so we didn't have welding for a long time. Then it started that people were saying, well, but we need welding. And right now, if you go on the website for the U.S. Department of Labor and pull up welding, for example, they will tell you that on any given day in the United States right now, the average number of unfilled welding positions is someplace in the neighborhood of 146,000 at any given time. So, and we've had a lot of our local partners asking us again about welding here in the district. And so just this fall, with a grant from the federal government, Lewis and Clark has opened up a welding school again. And we're very, very proud of that. And I had mentioned a while ago that my department did a custom welding program for Global Brass this last winter. We were going to try and run it in conjunction with that new welding program. Unfortunately, trying to find a building to put it in was like a kind of moving target, and Global Brass needed it at a certain time. So we went across the community, we found some other instructors, and that was why GRP Mechanical, I want to give them a shout out down in Bethalto, they had space in the back of their weld shop where they let us set up weld stations to run that class. And the beauty of it for Global Brass was those people were away from their normal work environment, didn't have to be bothered by, normal daytime interruptions. They could just come and focus on learning additional welding skills. They were already welders and they were broadening their skill base.
Okay, thank you.
So, any other questions? Okay, you tell me. I don't want to stand between people and their afternoon.
You got about 10 minutes.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to mention, if you look through our catalog, so the front half of the summer catalog deals principally with College for Kids programs, you know, a lot of parents are very concerned about who's teaching my kids. Every summer in the middle of our catalog, we run a bio of every one of our instructors, so you have some idea in advance who's coming. Everybody, all of our instructors are vetted. I mean, background checks, for the adult programs as well. Background checks, drug screens, you know, we are very conscious of our responsibility both to our youngest learners as well as our older learners. And if any of you have a specialty area that you love, are a passionate advocate of, it could be sharpening saw blades, it could be, you know, postal regulations that keep changing. We have people come to us all the time and say, I know how to do whatever, and I would love to teach a class. We have a form. You can fill it out and describe how you see the class running. Would it be a weekend workshop on weatherizing your house? Would it be, you know, gardening, flower arranging, anything? It's amazing the pitches we get. We love to read them. Some of them turn out very, very good. If we can see that we could market that program, then we could bring you too aboard as an ad hoc instructor if you ever had, you know, a desire to participate with us. So I also wanted to mention that some of you out there today have either at a hobby level or perhaps for what you're doing professionally, something that possibly could benefit a wider audience. And so feel free to call us at all times. All of us in my department are listed inside the catalog, either the front or inside the back cover. And we truly value your suggestions and your ideas. We get calls all the time from people saying, do you offer whatever? And maybe we haven't offered it, or maybe we haven't offered it in a while. We do wait lists of people who are interested in courses by different topics, and we really try to meet the needs of our community. If we get enough people calling asking about something, we'll find an instructor for it, even if we don't have one. So if you have been getting our catalog for a while, if you pick up this one and look at the one from 4 summers ago, it's not a complete replication of all the same programs. I mean, we mix them up, and we note in here with little bursts, you know, new program, when we have something additional that we brought on. I'd like to tell you 2 quick stories that kind of indicate what we can do and what we cannot do. So here's something we don't do. I mean, we are training. We are learning, education, and training for all kinds of non-academic tracks. We had a gentleman call us last year, and I was not at my desk, but he left me a very, very long voicemail that went right zip to the end of the 2 minutes, however long the space was. And he started out asking if we had a babysitting class for grown-ups. And then, as he was continuing to talk into my voicemail, he started to overshare about, well, he and his wife were divorced, and the last time he had the children at his house as part of their divorce decree, there had been some kind of a problem, and now his girlfriend was suggesting that before he go in front of the judge, why didn't he see about taking a babysitting course? So it was actually I know, it's kind of funny, it was very sad, it was very poignant. So we do not have, in my department, the kinds of skills and resources and experts that could deal with all of the issues in this call. But we did connect this gentleman with people on campus who had other departments that had resources into, you know, counselors and the legal community, and tried to do what we could. But that really illustrates a bigger picture that no matter what kind of training we offer, no matter what kind of educational opportunities there are, we take it very seriously. We do not see training as a Band-Aid fix. Sometimes there are issues beyond the educational realm that need other kinds of resources. So we directly were not able to help that guy, but I think we tried to really steer him in some directions that could have addressed some of his needs. A cute, funny one about college for kids. So we have all these different programs, and many are educational. So we've got a really great one that we ran last summer, Princesses and Tiaras. Anybody in here have a child or a grandchild who ever took our Princesses and Tiaras course? Okay, so it's every morning for a week. The little girls come in and they're encouraged to dress in really nice clothing, and it's an opportunity. They have tea, and they, you know, they learn etiquette and not to talk with their mouth full of cupcake, and say please and thank you, and they do little dances and things. So they do that all morning long for four mornings, and on the 5th morning, when they come in, they all have to wear, you know, either like silk and tulle, or, you know, long skirts, and some of them come in with little gloves up to the elbows, you know, and they're going to be given a tiara as their graduation, you know, for learning all this etiquette. And so one little girl was late last summer on the last day. She was late. All the rest of the little girls were already in the room and going through the program, and they'd received their tiaras. So one of my assistants took this little girl by the hand and led her to the room, and she looked around at all the other girls, transformed now into their beautiful ball gowns and bling fake jewelry, and were all wearing their tiaras, and she said, "Golly gee," she said, "I never saw so many princesses in one place." So we just love that. The whole staff just gets such a charge in the summer in the College for Kids programs. Educational fun, you know, we really try to mix it up, and, you know, no kid in the summer wants to think, well, I've got to go to school some more. You know, we really try to package and coat the learning opportunity in a fun way, and we really try hard to do that for the grown-ups too. So I thank you for the opportunity to talk here today. I would love to know if any of you have some training needs for your employees or your companies, because I will do my best to address those. And again, if you would like to get a catalog, if you haven't been getting one, go ahead and take one today, and we'll be so glad to put you on our mailing list. And I just really appreciate the opportunity from the Rotary Club to be here today and to explain a little bit more about who we are and what it is we do, because I know a lot of people are mystified. It's like, what do you do? Who are you? Or they hear little bits and pieces and they don't see the big picture. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. I appreciate it.
Good.